Here's a debate that happens in almost every cat household. One person thinks the cat should sleep with you every night, full stop. The other person has heard somewhere, from a vet, from a forum, from a well-meaning relative, that sleeping with your cat is unhygienic, disruptive, or somehow bad for one or both of you. And so the cat gets shut out of the bedroom, or smuggled back in once everyone else is asleep, or becomes a permanent, unresolved disagreement that nobody quite settles. Here's the thing. The science on this question is far more interesting and far more specific than either side of that argument usually realizes. Sleeping with your cat every night does change things, measurably, biologically, and over time. But what it changes, and whether those changes are good or concerning, depends entirely on details most people never consider. Here's what most cat owners don't realize. Co-sleeping with a cat sets off a cascade of physiological and behavioral changes in both species, changes to your sleep architecture, your cat's attachment behavior, and the underlying chemistry of your bond. Some of it will surprise you. Some of it might change how you feel about that debate entirely. Let's go through exactly what happens. 1. What happens to your cat? Let's start with your cat, because the changes here are the most dramatic. When a cat is permitted to sleep with their person every night, something shifts in their attachment behavior over the following weeks. Researchers studying cat-owner bonds have found that consistent nighttime proximity correlates with measurably reduced separation-related stress behaviors during the day. The cat who sleeps against you at night carries that felt security forward. They vocalize less anxiously when you leave, settle more quickly when alone, and show calmer body language overall. Here's why. Sleep, for any social animal, is the most vulnerable state available. A cat who sleeps in physical contact with you every single night is engaging in an act of trust so consistent, so repeated, that it becomes the baseline rather than the exception. Their nervous system stops treating your presence at night as something notable and starts treating it as simply how things are. That baseline of security extends outward into the rest of their day. Now here's the part almost nobody talks about. Cats who sleep with their owners every night often develop a specific positional preference, a consistent spot, a consistent side, a consistent posture, that becomes part of their nightly ritual. This isn't random. It's the cat building a predictable, repeatable pattern around the most secure moment of their day. Disrupting that pattern, even occasionally, can produce a noticeable unsettled quality the following day. In short, your cat builds an entire architecture of security around this nightly ritual. And once built, it matters to them more than most owners realize. 2. What happens to your sleep? Now you might be thinking, okay, but what does this actually do to my sleep? Here's where the science gets genuinely nuanced, because the answer is not a simple yes or no. Studies on human sleep quality with pets in the bed have found mixed results, and the deciding factor is almost always the specific cat's nighttime behavior rather than co-sleeping itself. Cats who settle quickly and remain still through the night have minimal measurable impact on their owner's sleep architecture. Cats who are active at night, walking, vocalizing, initiating contact during the early morning hours, can fragment sleep cycles, particularly during the lighter sleep stages, where waking is easier. Here's the interesting part. The same research consistently shows a psychological benefit that often outweighs the physical disruption. People who sleep with a settled, calm pet frequently report lower subjective anxiety, increased feelings of security, and a stronger sense of comfort going to sleep, even when objective measures show minor sleep fragmentation. The emotional and physiological calming effect of a warm, breathing, trusted presence can offset some of the disruption it occasionally causes. The practical takeaway: if your cat sleeps through the night calmly, co-sleeping likely benefits you more than it costs you. If your cat is genuinely disruptive, walking on you, vocalizing, demanding attention at 3 a.m., the issue isn't co-sleeping itself. It's the unaddressed nighttime energy we've covered in other videos. Fix that first, and the co-sleeping question often resolves itself. 3. What happens to your bond? Here's the layer that ties everything together, and it's the most meaningful one. Co-sleeping, done consistently over months and years, becomes one of the strongest reinforcing rituals in a cat-human relationship. Every night that ends with your cat settling against you, and every morning that begins with them still there, adds another data point to an enormous, accumulated pattern. This person is safe. This person is reliable. This person is where I belong. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone associated with trust and attachment in both humans and cats, has been measured at elevated levels following calm, positive physical contact between cats and their owners. While research specifically on overnight co-sleeping in cats is still developing, the broader pattern of repeated, sustained, voluntary physical closeness lines up precisely with what's known to drive oxytocin release and strengthen attachment bonds over time. In practical terms, a cat who sleeps with you every night in a settled and calm way is very likely building one of the deepest bonds available between your species, night after night, in increments too small to notice individually, but enormous in their cumulative effect. Actionable takeaways. If your cat sleeps calmly through the night with you, there is no compelling reason to stop. The psychological and bonding benefits, for both of you, generally outweigh minor disruptions. If your cat is disruptive at night, don't address it by removing them from the bed. Address the underlying cause first. A dedicated pre-bed play and feeding ritual covered in our 3 a.m. video resolves the majority of disruptive nighttime behavior without requiring you to give up the bond co-sleeping builds. If hygiene is your concern, regular grooming, a clean litter box, and routine flea and parasite prevention address the practical risks without requiring separation at night. And if you've been on the fence, try 1 week of consistent co-sleeping, assuming your cat is generally calm at night, and pay attention to how their daytime anxiety and your own sense of evening comfort shift. The data is usually more convincing than the debate. Here's what sleeping with your cat every night actually does. It builds a baseline of security in your cat that extends into every hour they're not beside you. It offers you a measurable psychological comfort that, for most people, outweighs the minor physical cost of occasional disruption. And night after night, it deposits small, accumulating increments into the deepest kind of trust available between your two species. This isn't really a debate about hygiene or sleep hygiene or personal space. It's a question about how much of your nights you're willing to share with a being who, every single time you let them stay, reads it as proof that they belong exactly where they are. And now you know exactly what happens when you say yes. Does your cat sleep with you every night? And have you noticed a difference in how they behave during the day? Drop it in the comments. And if you've been going back and forth on letting them in, tell me what's been holding you back. I want to hear it. If you made it this far, you understand something most people never will. Cats aren't just pets. They're complex, emotional, intelligent beings. Tap the video on your screen to keep learning the secret language of cats. And subscribe to Cat Class, because understanding your cat changes everything.